Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we're going to be talking about the newest album from Blake Shelton, titled Bringing Back the Sunshine. You know, the more that I think about it, the more that Blake Shelton looks like one of the luckiest guys ever in country music. Because at first, or even a second glance, his career should have ended years ago. And believe it or not, that's not a slam against Blake Shelton, because I actually do like the guy. But as country music has evolved over the past decade, Blake Shelton has managed to ride that wave with uncanny ability. He started off in the very viable, easy-listening country mold with his debut in 2001, with the added benefit of having a few really great songs behind him, like Austin, to get his career really going. From there, he coasted into rowdier material as the 2000s continued on, towing the line between Toby Keith and Tim McGraw. And while he definitely racked up a fair share of hits on country radio, the mainstream didn't exactly embrace him in the same way, which is a shame because there were some good songs there. And as the decade wore on, Blake Shelton seemed to be fading into the background. So in a move that, in all fairness, should not have worked as well as it did, he signed on to be a judge on a little singing competition competing with American Idol, just debuting on NBC, called The Voice. And almost overnight, Blake Shelton rocketed back into starlight. It's fairly easy to see why, too. Tim McGraw's career on Curb Records was sputtering out. Country music in the latter half of the 2000s had never been as ready as it was for his brand of slick, well-produced music that can be corny as hell but backed up with real charisma, and The Voice did a lot to enhance his profile. Coupled with the marriage to the more talented and more interesting Miranda Lambert, Blake Shelton seemed to have all his stars aligned. He was going places. And then came his 2013 album based on a true story, and that big hit single, Boys Round Here, which landed on my list of the top 10 worst hit songs of 2013. But even though I didn't like it, it was the country smash for which Blake Shelton had been waiting. Even though that album that accompanied that song really wasn't all that far removed from typical mid-tempo material, Blake Shelton lashed onto the bro country bandwagon for a monster single. And coupled with the fact that he shot off his mouth on the subject a lot more than he really should have, he seemingly became overnight one of the biggest symbols for Nashville's embrace of bro country. But look, now it's 2014. The bro country well is starting to run dry. And while Blake Shelton was able to smoothly pivot back to some of his usual material with his later singles from that album, left me curious where the hell he was gonna go with his career, because let's face it, Blake Shelton isn't exactly a trailblazer in country music. And with the country sound breaking apart even further, where does Blake Shelton take his newest album, Bringing Back the Sunshine? Well, funny thing, he took it in precisely the last direction that I was hoping he would. In other words, Blake Shelton tried, with Bringing Back the Sunshine, to milk whatever's left of the whole bro country phenomenon and drive it into the ground. And since he's not yet willing to fully commit to that, his record turns into a weirdly awkward mess, half driven by sentimental songs to fit on his narrow edge of good, albeit corny, and the other half some of the most moronic songs he's ever recorded. Frustrating thing for me is that the execution of it is really a lot less interesting than you might think, leaving Bringing Back the Sunshine a record that's both kind of annoying and yet oddly inessential and really kind of bland. So okay, let's start with Blake Shelton himself, the biggest redeeming factor of this album. Honestly, he's so lucky that he's as charismatic and as good of a singer as he is, because on his own, he saves many of these tracks from being charmless and bland by having a lot of energy and real sincerity. You can tell he's trying, with vocal production that really goes for the obviously synthetic route. Looking at you, Jason Aldean, which is a welcome change. Now this can also be a double-edged sword, because while it lends his love songs a certain degree of believability and charm, it also means that some of his sleazier bro country songs are a certain degree of insufferable, mostly because his brand of it can come across as aggressively smug, which really rubs me the wrong way. Curiously, the one mode that doesn't seem to work as well with Blake Shelton is the smoother, R&B inspired singer that you find on songs like Sangria, as he seems just a little bit out of his element, and he loses a lot of energy as he tries to serenade this drunken girl with which he's going home. The thing is that Blake Shelton plays in a lot of the same brand of cornball country and broad archetypes that, say, Brad Paisley does, which means that he's not exactly good to playing slick so much as he is sticking with authenticity, which was why he was such a great fit for neo-traditional country music. But see, that contrast between authentic, thick-strummed twang and slicker sounds definitely carries over into the instrumentation and production. And look, over the past few months, I've come to grips with the fact that while I don't like electronic elements like drum machines and synthesizers in country music, I don't deny that with certain artists and on certain songs, it can kind of work. Here on Earth by Dierks Bentley, To the Sky by Dustin Lynch, Perfect Storm by Brad Paisley, these are good songs, and they work by blending a sweeping blend of airy synthesizers with steel guitars and lighter drum machines to create a cohesive sound and to mask some of the stiffness of the more synthetic elements. Yeah, that does not happen here with Blake Shelton, because everywhere on his songs where there's a drum machine or a rap cadence, it clashes terribly with the thick, textured, twangy melodies that I normally pretty much like. It's incredibly frustrating for me because there are songs where there are real drums that even take over from the drum machines at points, because it only highlights how little that contrast works, and it detracts from some otherwise pretty damn solid songs. Take the title track. It begins with the organ before kicking into one of the better guitar melodies of the album, or the fiddle line on Just South of Heaven or Good Country Song, or the upbeat, neo-traditional party vibe of Just Getting Started that takes similar chords to Letting the Night Roll by Justin Moore and adds a lot of rollicking energy and make it really significantly better. Or even the smooth, dark vibe of the drifting guitar tones on Sangria. I kind of dug it. And this highlights the kind of instrumentation that works best with Blake Shelton. When it's smooth or it's got a bit of a rollicking lick to it, it can work. But when you add stiffer drum machines or clunky, heavy strumming that tries to push the twang a little bit too hard, I gotta be honest, it's nowhere near as good. It comes across as stiff and clunky. And this takes us to the songwriting. And here's the thing. There's a limit to how much I can really criticize Blake Shelton for this, because he didn't write any songs on this album. He doesn't have any writing credits. But at the same time, Blake Shelton has the sort of clout in the industry right now that he could have picked better written songs than these, because there are some startling duds on this album, even purely from a technical perspective. Two of my biggest pet peeves in songwriting is repeated syllables or words altogether to fill up space on songs. And all across this record, we get songs that come across as shockingly clumsy in this vein. The lead single, Neon Light, prime example for this with its chorus, because it only adds to a song that feels jerky and clumsy, even beyond finding solace from a sour breakup in the bottom of a bottle. Or take the absolute worst song on this album, Buzzin', a rattling train wreck of a song that features lyrics like, working on that twerking, man, and it still ain't working yet. Or picking off them floaters from the ice tub. Or chillin' like a villain on my redwood deck. I've seen train songs with better lyrics than this, because Blake Shelton apparently doesn't realize that chillin' like a villain is not a flattering comparison. Nobody wants to think or even imagine him twerking, ugh. And that floaters is not thought of this day and age, as floating cans of beer in a cooler, but something significantly more disgusting. I mean, gross. It's also a song that completely wastes Ray Lynn, the former contestant on The Voice who actually had a pretty good voice, who was eliminated from his team 3 weeks in, which makes me wonder, if he's looking to rope in people from The Voice, why didn't he get Cassidy Pope or Danielle Bradbury, two contestants from his team that actually won? The other guest appearance on this album is Ashley Monroe, a member of the Pistol Annies, on the song Lonely Tonight, which is about hooking up with an ex for some mutual support. Actually a song I like, which only seemed to highlight the fact that his wife and fellow Pistol Annies member Miranda Lambert was nowhere to be seen on this album, and that just baffles me. I mean, they're both A-list country stars at this point. Not playing the Jay-Z Beyonce power couple role strikes me as a bit of a waste, especially when, I'll be honest here, they both do have so much musical chemistry. I like their songs together. But you know what, overall, the songwriting on this album isn't so much aggressively bad as it is lacking in flavor. There are songs where he misses his wife, which come across as real and authentic, and some of the better tracks on this album, a few scattered bro country tracks that are hit and miss, and your typical song reminiscing about better country music in the past, like Good Country Song. Now granted, whenever Blake does go for something outside the norm, it doesn't exactly go well. Like in the recycling of relationship stereotypes on A Girl That Just Feels Overdone and Tired, even if there is a good sentiment behind it. Or the track Anyone Else, which is about a jealous friend of his who can't seem to be happy if anyone else besides him succeeds. And yeah, sure, I get the feelings behind the song. Everyone knows that person. But it's the sort of thing where Blake's response can come across as, well, a little bit condescending and overdone, especially given his string of luck that Blake used to revitalize his career, and the fact that he's an A-list celebrity. Did it really bother him so much to perform on this particular song? It lacks a little bit of class and tact to me, at least to me. But then again, this is Blake Shelton, so you know what, at least it's in character. So in the end, look, I want to like this album. Hell, I like Blake Shelton, and he's the reason that this album barely rises above bad or forgettable, but only barely. It's very much an album that reflects the unstable position at the intersection between the fading embers of bro country or whatever paradigm is going to come afterwards, and that pull between past and present really does hurt this album's overall feel. And without any real stellar standout tracks to back it up, I'm thinking a strong 5 out of 10 and only a recommendation if you're a hardcore fan of Blake Shelton. Otherwise, gotta be honest, as a fan, he's done better, and there's other country albums you could check out instead. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. If there's anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or any other albums coming out that you want me to take a look at, I'd be more than happy to give them a listen. Until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.